It was a foggy evening in London when Dr. John Watson returned to 221B Baker Street, clutching a copy of the Times under his arm. The paper bore a sensational headline: "Magician's Act Goes Awry, 3 audience members vanish without a trace." "Holmes," Watson began as he entered their shared apartment, "are you aware of this peculiar incident?" Sherlock Holmes, who was lounging in his chair with a violin balanced precariously on his knee, arched an eyebrow. "Ah, Watson, I've been expecting you to bring this up. An intriguing case, wouldn't you agree?" Watson seated himself and unfolded the paper. The story detailed a performance by a magician named Theodoric Devine, who had advertised his act as a satire of the dark arts. In the grand finale, he invited 3 audience members onto the stage for a vanishing trick, but when he pulled back the curtain, they had truly disappeared. Panic erupted among the crowd, and Scotland Yard was summoned to investigate. Yet, no clues had emerged. Holmes's eyes gleamed. This Devine fellow has unwittingly conjured a problem far beyond the realm of mere prestidigitation. We must pay him a visit. The following morning, Holmes and Watson arrived at the Dominion Theatre, where the incident had occurred. The venue was closed to the public, but Inspector Lestrade greeted him at the entrance. "Holmes, I had a feeling you'd show up," Lestrade said, shaking his head. "It's a baffling one, this. 3 people gone, and not a shred of evidence left behind." "Nonsense," Holmes replied briskly. "Evidence is always present. One need only know where to look." Inside, they found Theodoric Devine pacing the stage. The magician was a wiry man in his 40s, with a sharp nose and piercing grey eyes. His hands trembled as he spoke. "I swear to you, gentlemen, I'm no sorcerer," he stammered. "It was all meant to be a jest, a trick to ridicule those who claim supernatural powers. But now," he faltered, sinking into a chair. Holmes scrutinized the stage. "Describe the apparatus you used for the vanishing trick." Devine gestured to a large wooden cabinet with ornate carvings. "This." The participants entered, I closed the door, and when I reopened it, they were gone. A hidden compartment was meant to conceal them, but when I checked, it was empty. Holmes inspected the cabinet meticulously. "Watson, observe the faint scorch marks inside. And note this peculiar scent, sulfur. This is no ordinary magician's prop." As Holmes examined the stage further, he discovered a fragment of blackened fabric caught in a floorboard. He pocketed it with a satisfied nod. "Mr. Devine," Holmes asked, "have you received any unusual correspondence or visitors recently?" The magician hesitated. "A week ago, a man claiming to be a historian approached me. He sold me this cabinet, insisting it would elevate my act. He called himself Aleister Crowley." Watson's brow furrowed. "Crowley, the occultist?" Holmes's expression darkened. "Indeed, this is no coincidence. Holmes and Watson's investigation led him to a bookshop in Bloomsbury, where Crowley was known to frequent. The proprietor confirmed that Crowley had recently acquired texts on ancient summoning rituals." "Holmes," Watson ventured as they left the shop, "are you suggesting that magic, true magic, is at play here?" Holmes gave a thin smile. "Not magic, Watson, but rather the manipulation of belief and fear. However, the physical evidence suggests that Crowley has employed some arcane science to achieve his ends. Their search eventually led him to an abandoned warehouse by the Thames. Inside, they found a makeshift laboratory filled with alchemical equipment and arcane symbols etched into the floor. This is where the victims were taken," Holmes declared, pointing to a large, mirror-like apparatus humming softly in the corner. "A rudimentary teleportation device, perhaps. But where it leads, we must discover." With Lestrade's men standing by, Holmes and Watson stepped into the apparatus. A blinding flash enveloped them, and they found themselves in a dark, cavernous chamber. The 3 missing audience members were there, dazed but unharmed. "Holmes," Watson exclaimed. "What is this place?" "A pocket dimension," Holmes replied calmly. "Created through Crowley's device to trap unwitting victims. Ingenious, but flawed. Let us return." After leading the victims back through the portal, Holmes dismantled the device and ensured it was taken into Scotland Yard's custody. Back at Baker Street, Watson reflected on the case. "Holmes, this affair has shaken my understanding of the world. Do you truly believe Crowley's device was scientific in nature?" Holmes lit his pipe. "Science, Watson, often strays into realms we scarcely comprehend. The line between the mystical and the empirical is thinner than we care to admit. But rest assured, this case was grounded in human ingenuity, however sinister its application. Watson nodded, though his thoughts lingered on the strange, otherworldly chamber. As Holmes began to play a soothing melody on his violin, Watson realized that the world, with all its mysteries, would never cease to amaze, or to challenge the great Sherlock Holmes.